stepping into the unknown.
This time on Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs.
Something external is actually placing them there.
Almost the size of Central Park.
There is no explanation.
We'll explore the strange crop formations known as signs. Eyewitnesses have found them throughout the world. From England to Japan to Australia and all across America. With our data files, you'll hear the true stories of people whose lives have been affected by signs.
It's a very frightening thing.
The expert who may just have discovered what these signs mean.
We are in trouble here on planet Earth.
The witnesses who've had physical reactions to the signs.
3 people became unconscious within the circle.
The ranchers who found their cattle dead near the signs.
The tongue was missing.
The sign specialists with alarming theories.
There is some other non-human entity doing this.
We'll investigate ancient signs that somehow were carved into the earth thousands of years ago. We'll show you what the government might know about signs.
Every time we try to do an investigation, try to get something started, it comes to a dead end.
And what they don't want us to know.
I believe this to be the greatest single unsolved serial crime spree of the 20th century.
And we'll wrap it all up for you in our Unex report. Here on Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs. Signs. Some call them crop circles. Are they messages from other worlds? We do know that they're usually produced in a field of grain. What makes them so mysterious is that scientists cannot agree who or what created them. Southern England, near the ancient mysterious structure Stonehenge, home to many signs. But now, they're spreading. Australia. Witnesses find a crop circle outside Adelaide. It measured exactly 46.5 feet in diameter.
I just looked down at this field, said to myself, that's a crop circle, because I've seen pictures of them in England, these crop circles, and it just looked exactly the same.
Like the English crop circles, someone or something had pressed down the wheat in a swirling pattern. And there has been a disturbing outbreak of crop circles in the U.S. Bizarre signs in unusual patterns have begun to appear in Oregon and Washington.
Well, the first day I saw it, my blood pressure went up.
It's very difficult to describe. The air is full of electricity.
And farmers in the Midwest are finding signs in their fields.
But how could anything do that without it didn't come out of the sky and come down here? Now they almost come down and do this because there's no way it could get in here.
Might be a tornado or some kind of wind, but why would it be exactly 46.5? No matter how you measure it, it's 46.5.
Thousands of miles away, in Canada, outside Windsor, Ontario, when farmer John Parks went to sleep, his fields were untouched. But sometime in the night, a sign appeared.
If you went in and pushed it with your foot, the straw would kink, would bend somewhere in the middle and be broken. And this straw wasn't broken.
The night the formation appeared, dogs in a nearby kennel were extremely agitated, especially the owner's guard dog.
Around midnight on Sunday night, she started to make a racket, barking, whining, and we told her to be quiet, and she just wouldn't respond. What turned her on like that, I don't know.
Meanwhile, in England, signs are becoming more elaborate and complex.
In May, we started getting these pictograms, which are these dumbbell or barbell-shaped
formations with various features coming out of them. Features like hands and claws, semicircles on the end, all of these things. We've never seen anything like that before.
When you go into the extra pieces that were there, the claw features, key pattern, that sort of thing, we found they were still as precise, and the floor patterns were very, very precise.
It is impossible to reproduce an entire structure like that, which is nearly 300 feet in length, without creating an immense amount of damage in its construction.
What's it like inside a sign? A blind woman walked into the center of a crop circle. The experience was unnerving.
And when we walked in, I got a very, very frightening feeling, like there was something out there that was watching me that I didn't know about. It was just a very eerie force around me.
And an expert felt the terrible power of signs firsthand.
There are circles which are so energetic. Everybody who goes in them at the start feels ill. And we've had one this year which was so powerful. 3 people became unconscious within the circle.
Who or what created these elaborate signs? Next up, we'll explore all the possibilities.
Something external, something which is intelligent, is actually placing them there.
And stay tuned for Unexplained Mysteries exclusive case studies. Strange signs in the Holy Land.
Intense heat, burning sand and vegetation in the shape of a UFO.
And are crop circles somehow linked to the horrors of cattle mutilation?
The eye looks like it has just been sucked out.
I would say it would be like a battery acid burn or something, you know, like that.
And finally, are crop circles real phenomena, or are they just hoaxes? We'll hear from the experts.
All that and more on Unexplained Mysteries.
Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs. What do scientists theorize about the creation of signs? In a real sign, the plants seem to be untouched by humans.
I've come across many hoaxes, and you can tell them within 2 minutes, because the normal circles, the corners just simply gently move down and the stalks are not broken. Anybody that tries to reproduce a hoax circle by chain, trampling, any way you may think, will damage the structure of the crop involved.
Signs are becoming larger, perhaps too large for humans to create.
The early formations were the size of a domestic room. Now you have formations which are almost the size of Central Park, so that we have enormous growth, both in complexity and in size and in numbers.
What could possibly be making these enormous, highly detailed signs?
Clearly, they seem to be related to electromagnetism. There's overwhelming evidence of that. But how electromagnetic forces can produce this effect, we don't know. What I think is becoming very clear now is that we are forced to conclude that because these patterns are very symmetrical and very beautiful, that they are designs. They are designs, and therefore there's a designer, and therefore there's an intelligence of some sort behind the design.
Astronomer Gerald Hawkins believes signs contain hidden messages. He deciphers them using mathematics. Hawkins became famous when he figured out mathematically that Stonehenge, when seen from the sky, is really a calendar. Hawkins determined that the size of the circles in this formation had a striking relationship.
The circle makers have set up a theorem where we can prove by Euclidean geometry that the large circle is exactly 16 over 3 times the area of the middle circle, 16/3. A very strange number, but it's exactly the note of F in the 3rd octave.
Hawkins compared the ratios of the circles with the ratios of a musical scale. They are the same. How is that possible?
The maker of the circles is, we have to admit, clever, not only in making them, but in what is encoded in them. One possibility is that they're not humans.
Professor F. Richard Moore built on Hawkins' research to decode the messages musically.
What I did was to use a computer to synthesize the sounds so we actually hear them in the precise relationships that they are expressed in these mathematical theorems.
What happens when you play these notes?
This is the crop circle chord, and it's all 14 of these messages combined into a single chord that lasts for several seconds.
Is this a form of alien communication? If so, what are these highly evolved beings trying to tell us?
We have seen a whole new family, a whole new range of patterns. Many of them resemble galaxies, a series of circles and rings, rotating as if they are circumventing a central feature.
Peter Sorensen believes he discovered a disturbing message in this particular sign.
What this crop circle has in it is like a beaded necklace of separate circles that represents the asteroid belt. And we know this quite surely because inside of that thing is an area containing the orbits for 4 planets and a sun in the middle. And our own solar system, this is exactly the anatomy of it. The sun, then Mercury, then Venus, then the Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt. There was Mars, there was Venus and Mercury, but no Earth. And like a little chill goes through me. I think, wait a minute, now what does that mean?
He believes it could be a warning that an asteroid is going to strike the Earth and destroy all human life. Some experts have yet another alarming theory. The answers lie in the crops themselves.
We do have evidence that a phenomena exists, and the plants are changed at the cellular, anatomical level.
When a formation hits, it just knocks the heck out of the embryo. They don't grow.
Dr. Levengood has found that the cell structure of the plants in the crop circles has been changed. And their seeds will grow into very different, altered plants.
Both the growth rate and the germination, it increases quite significantly.
Colin Andrews believes that the creators of the signs are not of this earth.
Something external, something which is intelligent, is actually placing them there.
This could be the message as well, that we are in trouble here on planet Earth. Things have to be changed. And we are slowly being told and shown through crop circles and various other phenomena that we are not alone, and we may need some outside help.
Coming up.
We're having mutilations that are occurring on almost a weekly basis.
Animals found dead. But who killed them? And how did they do it?
There's no blood, no tracks, no sign of nothing.
And what about the mysterious lights?
We saw many lights up in the sky. We could not interpret where they were coming from.
What does the government know?
The government may even be doing this or assisting extraterrestrials.
We'll show you exclusive case studies, strange signs in the Holy Land.
Burning sand and vegetation in the shape of a UFO.
Who or what carved ancient signs into the earth thousands of years ago? We'll give you the ultimate review with our UNX report. All that and more on Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs.
Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs. One of the most disturbing things about signs across America is they are often linked to the mysterious, horrific phenomena of cattle mutilation.
I believe this to be the greatest single unsolved serial crime spree of the 20th century.
Cattle mutilations in the U.S. began in 1967. They've been going on for over 35 years.
The eye was gone. The rectal area had a perfect round cut. The sex organs had been removed. The tongue was gone. No blood, no flies, nothing was around it.
Also at night, reports of strange lights in the sky. And in the day, the presence of signs, along with dead animals. All neatly mutilated, bloodless, with no sign of humans or predators.
I lost 49 head of cattle to the mutilations. I lost them in less than 3 weeks.
When we found the animal, it couldn't have been there no longer than 12, 13 hours because I was there at 6:30 in the evening. I was back there at 7 o'clock the next morning. It wasn't maybe 600 yards from the ranch house. And this animal was it had been mutilated. There's no blood, no tracks, no sign of nothing. And this animal was already decomposing, like it had been dead for 4 or 5 days.
Normally, when you arrive at an animal mutilation site, you'll find basically that there's no evidence whatsoever. There's no blood at all, there's no tracks, no cigarette butts. All the evidence indicates that the animals are being dropped from the air.
The incisions are done real precise. Every incision that we've dealt with has been almost identical to every animal that has been mutilated.
Dr. John Altshuler, who investigated the first reported case of cattle mutilation in Colorado, examined tissue samples from these dead animals.
A predator, even with the accuracy of gnawing and biting, would have jagged borders. The fact that the tissue at the incisional areas is very firm and very hard, and the microscopic evidence clearly indicates that heat has been applied.
There's no way that the cattle could have been killed by anything in nature and then had the parts taken off as precision-like as they were. Therefore, I think we have to look to something either from our own government for top-secret research or possibly into the sky.
There's somebody somewhere that knows what's doing this. You know, we need to get it out in the open and try to get stopped.
In California, ranchers Gene and Bill Barton have experienced cattle mutilations. Nearby, the Bartons found circular impressions in a meadow. Signs.
I've heard about it, but I certainly never expected it to happen to me.
Just prior to a mutilation incident, witnesses often report strange lights in the sky, much like the lights reported before the formation of a sign.
At that time of the mutilations and later on, we saw many lights up in the sky. We could not interpret where they were coming from.
We was cutting hay in one of the meadows, and this helicopter was right there. It looked to me like a big military-type helicopter. No numbers. And that night we had a mutilation.
In a lot of cases, strange lights have been seen around mutilation sites, and most often, helicopters are seen in and around mutilation sites. It's like someone is monitoring these areas where these animal deaths are occurring.
I believe possibly the government may even be doing this or assisting extraterrestrials in this. And I think we're being blatantly lied to.
What does the government say? Coyotes and other predators are responsible for the mutilations.
There have been possibly 15,000 of these cases in the United States and Canada since the 60s. And you know, you look at the records, you look at if there's anybody been prosecuted, has anybody been arrested, and you don't find that. You don't find any prosecutions, you don't find any arrests. In a forensic sense, you use all the information, you look at all of it. And when you get all of that information and you run it through a sieve, you come out that there is some other non-human entity doing this.
Somebody, somewhere in this country knows what's going on. I mean, it just seems like every time we try to do an investigation, try to get something started, it comes to a dead end. We can't get senators, congressmen, you know, it just get a lot of publicity, but it just dies. You know, it's a crime. This is my living. It's just outright thievery. Why isn't somebody doing something about it?
As with crop circles, there is no official government explanation for the numerous cattle mutilations, and scientists are also at a loss to explain them.
There are no answers. There are just thousands of questions and thousands of dead animals.
Next, what caused the strange signs in the Holy Land? We'll detail the incredible case study of the Kadima 5. Was it an alien encounter?
They all describe the same 7-foot, bald, round-headed creature.
And what really happened at the Goweta farm?
At 6:30 in the morning, all the animals were already dead.
But even with all this evidence, why do some experts theorize that signs simply come from nature?
The causes of crop circle formations are quite likely ion plasma vortices.
And you'll get the final answers in our Unex report, coming up on Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs.
The Holy Land, site of turmoil and violence throughout the ages, and also the home of remarkable events linked to signs. Here are the frightening stories of eyewitnesses in our exclusive case studies, Strange Signs in the Holy Land. This is Ami Avray. Ami was driving past a beach called Shikmona when he saw a red object fly into the air, hover, and dip. There was a huge flash, and suddenly, the object disappeared. Profoundly disturbed by what he had witnessed, Ami went back to Shikmona a few days later. He was stunned by what he found. A different kind of sign.
Imagine intense heat, burning sand and vegetation in the shape of a UFO. Inscribed in the right-hand corner, a clear-cut picture of an astronaut in front of the dashboard.
And like we've seen in the making of crop circles, the ground itself had changed.
The land was 671% more magnetic than usual.
Dr. W.C. Levengood tested a sample of the soil.
One was sort of astounded by the tremendous change in the ratios of the elements. For example, ordinary zinc was increased 104 times, whereas other elements stayed absolutely the same.
But as he photographed the soil sample, he was shocked by what happened next.
As I was adjusting the camera to get the photograph, to my astonishment, the soil appeared to be melting. What I found here was that there was a coating on this soil of a very low melting material. I have consulted with a geophysicist, and there is no explanation. This does not occur in nature. There's no natural way that this amount of hydrocarbon would be on the soil.
A few months after the Shikmona Beach incident, the Kaflan family in nearby Haifa witnessed a golden object in the sky outside their window. It hovered over the sea for a full 17 minutes before disappearing.
You see windows, and this is possibly the most outstanding feature. And certainly in the film, you'll see that at the beginning, Rafi Malka is clever enough to get background. There's no mistaking this as part of the features of the hill or the Haifa area. It's not a natural feature, it's certainly dangling in the air. It moves, it has lights, and it was witnessed by experts. I believe that it was a tremendously documented UFO.
Nearby on the same night is another kind of alien encounter.
Strange things began to happen in a little town called Kadima.
5 women who had never heard of each other shared a similar otherworldly experience.
These are not women who have any ulterior motive whatsoever. They have nothing to gain by it.
First, each woman reported the appearance of a crop circle in their fields.
It was just amazing. And I looked at that site and I thought to myself, what could this be? The grass became, within a day, completely dry. It was before high as this grass all around.
Upon closer inspection, something even stranger was found.
There were strange red stains all over and little pieces of unknown material that now we know it was a silicone. This is it. It's very light, it's very thin, and it's bright and glowing. We send it to the National Geological Lab, to Dr. Henry Foner, who tested this. According to Dr. Foner's testimony, this specific material we are talking about here is a pure 99.8% pure silicon. It does not exist naturally on Earth.
Then, early that morning, each of the women had an alien encounter.
It was a Saturday morning. I woke up very early. I looked at the alarm clock, and it was 6:30 in the morning.
I was asleep and woke up very early Saturday morning. I heard a loud bang. I was afraid to go downstairs and check it out. I preferred to wait until daylight. It was 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I woke up with the noise of my dog barking. I went to the door near the window. Inside the house, it was dark, but outside, it was light. I opened the curtains and I saw a big, giant image staring at me. His face was more oval-shaped. His eyes were shining, like a stoplight, glittering. His nose was very small, like a dot, if any. I tried to get to him. Instinctively, I raised my hands in front of me to push him away, but it was like pushing against a wall.
And all around, there were as if flickering lights.
He didn't say anything to me, but I heard a voice in my head. It was like telepathy, and the voice said, "Go away. I can smash you like a little dog. Go back to your husband."
And I got, so to speak, an answer in my head, in English, that this is the way it should be.
And before I could move, he disappeared.
We have 5 women who don't know each other describing the same bald-headed giants. They could describe little ones, green ones, red ones, humanoid ones. They had infinite possibilities of descriptions. They all described the same 7-foot, bald, round-headed creature.
Then, the encounters turned violent. It was eerily similar to what's happening on ranches and farms in the U.S.
800 meters from the Kadima antenna tower lived a farmer called Amos Guetta.
We woke up one Saturday morning. We went to feed the chickens, the sheep, and the dog, as usual. At 6:30 in the morning, when we woke up, it was already too late. All the animals were already dead, except the dog.
She opens his eyes and there are no eyeballs. 15 minutes later, the dog dies. She walks to her sheep pen and there are 3 dead sheep. They have been shaved around the cheekbone and have had a hole drilled to the bone itself.
No blood was found either. We tried to cut the veins of the sheep. No blood was in it. They were empty of blood.
She goes on to the chicken house, where the chickens are literally frozen dead. No panic amongst the chickens. They're not scattered. They're in their roosts, dead. About 40 of them.
Signs in the Holy Land. Are they part of a long history?
People who have been studying UFOs seriously around the world have reached the consensus that the Bible is a convincing UFO story. The angels of the Bible are returning, and these are the aliens of Israel today.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, a military helicopter tries to intimidate innocent bystanders at a sign formation.
They're obviously doing this quite deliberately.
While others try to show that all signs are hoaxes.
We are the 2 people that have created the crop circle.
While others believe signs are caused by nature.
crop circle formations are quite likely ion plasma vortices.
Who made these enormous complex signs over 2,000 years ago?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And you'll hear the arguments from all sides in our UNX report, here on Unexplained Mysteries.
Unexplained Mysteries, the truth about signs. A crop circle in England. It draws the attention of a British military helicopter. The copter hovers above the formation, then rushes straight towards the camera and onlookers.
They're obviously doing this quite deliberately.
Is the military trying to scare innocent civilians? Then, the chopper moves off. But it doesn't leave. Instead, it investigates a bright light about 2,000 feet away.
Some flashing thing under the ground.
The helicopter observes the strange light until it fades away. No one knows why the military was on the scene, but it begs the question. With the high number of crop circle formations, why hasn't the government released any kind of statement? Perhaps the government believes that crop circles are hoaxes. In fact, many experts think the average crop circle is just a prank with a plank.
We are the two people that have created the crop circles in 1978 through to the day.
But Doug and Dave had only done a few of the hundreds of circles that had been done, and from the evidence, their public demonstrations in broad daylight, they weren't very good at it. But no one really knew what hoaxers could do and what they couldn't do. And so I thought, well, here's an ideal opportunity for a scientific experiment, and the best way to do it is through a competition.
Sheldrake held a competition and challenged participants to create authentic-looking crop circles. They had to be produced at night. The day after, the winners showed off their results.
What we found was that the standard of artificial circle making was much higher than most people had expected. These people could do very well. The standard was very high indeed, and the most surprising thing was that people could do all this in complete darkness with making very little noise.
I flew the site the next day, and the aerial pictures that we took show some of the centres of these formations displaying exactly the characteristics that the genuine circles have displayed, and exactly the characteristics that many of the experts have said couldn't be done by people.
So what they show is that many of the features of crop circles could be hoaxes, but they don't show that they are hoaxes. And I mean, the analogy that I find most helpful is the fact you can forge a $20 bill doesn't prove that all $20 bills are forgeries.
In another twist, some hoaxers have stated that governments have paid them to create fake signs to divert attention from signs produced by non-human beings.
Either it's very skillful hoaxers with a tremendous sense of humor, or it's some non-human intelligence that's completely off the scale of anything that we've contemplated so far.
Some experts believe that signs are neither hoaxes nor are they created by aliens. There may be yet another explanation entirely.
John and I came up with a concept based on very unusual natural phenomena in the atmosphere.
Dr. Levengood and research associate John Berg have studied many samples taken from crop circles.
They go through biochemical changes. They go through cellular changes. This is a control node here, showing you the normal node, very symmetrical. And what we find here is that there are very drastic changes in the formation samples, which cannot be explained by ordinary trampling or hoaxing or any of that. Now, in the formation, what we find is that this energy is so intense and so rapid, the heat is so high, that it literally blows expulsion cavities.
We have an enormous amount of evidence that indicates that the causes of crop circle formations are quite likely ion plasma vortices. And while this may sound exotic, you could picture a slow-speed electrified tornado, if you will, because plasma is nothing more than electrified air particles.
But the natural explanation does not convince those who believe signs are messages from extraterrestrials.
If they're communications of some kind from a non-human source, it's not quite clear what they're saying. Their main message so far seems to have been, watch this space.
Are signs a relatively new phenomenon on this planet? Perhaps not. Perhaps signs have been created for millennia. Unlike crop circles, which by their nature are temporary, there are a vast number of permanent signs etched into landscapes all across the globe. Known as geoglyphs, the most mystifying ones are scattered over an area of 300 miles near the town of Nazca, Peru. These Nazca signs are huge symbols carved into the desert plain, some as long as 1,000 feet. But they truly reveal themselves only from the air. In fact, they were first spotted by startled airline passengers when commercial flight began in the 1920s.
I heard about these lines of Nazca markings that were so huge that you could only see them from the air. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I gave myself this mission to photograph these and bring them back and share them with people.
The designs consist of strange geometrical patterns, as well as human and animal shapes. They date back over 2,000 years.
It seems strange that about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, so many huge markings were made on the Earth, whether they were dug into the Earth or raised from the Earth. I'm looking at a lot of these markings and structures as if a god would look at them.
The Nazca lines, were they intergalactic runways for alien spacecraft? Or were they messages to aliens? Or like crop circles, could they have been messages from aliens?
Coming up in our Unex report, how are the ancient markings related to the cattle mutilations, alien encounters, and the signs found today? We'll bring all the facts together in our Unex report next.
Unex report. For many, the mystery is easy to explain. They dismiss the idea of alien messages because of the well-known evidence of fraudulent signs. Hoaxers who have admitted creating fake signs and demonstrated their clever methods. And competitions in which humans produced complex signs in a short time and even at night. Others believe signs are indeed created by powerful forces, but they're not extraterrestrial. They're simply the power of nature. But what of the compelling evidence that has convinced many that signs are of alien origin? Scientists have found crop circle plants that show no evidence of human contact. There are enormous signs that are far too complex and precise to be created by man. Mathematicians and musicologists have discovered messages hidden in the signs, messages in a nonverbal, possibly non-human language of numbers and musical notes. Analysts have found that the grain in crop circles has been transformed at a cellular level. More evidence. Witnesses have cited unidentified craft and mysterious lights near the signs. And the chilling tale of 5 women in Israel who had contact with an alien being. But perhaps most disturbing are the outbreaks of violent livestock mutilations, often found near signs. And why has there been no official word from the government? To the conspiracy theorists, this cover-up is the most compelling evidence that signs are created by extraterrestrial beings. Each side has its argument. Each side has its beliefs. And that is why, for now, signs must remain an unexplained mystery.
You either believe it or you don't, but it happened. I had never experienced anything like this in my life.
The kids were screaming.
At that point, I knew they existed.
Ghostly Encounters, Sundays at 8, only on Bio. True story.